So without further ado, and thanks for that fantastic overview, we're now going to go to our current student, which is Aoife O'Sullivan, who's a final year BIS student, just to talk about her experience as a student in the degree. So I'll pass the mic over to Aoife now.
Thanks, Ian. Hi everyone, so my name is Aoife and I'm a current final year Business Information Systems student. So I suppose to give a little bit of background, I kind of fell into the degree, I suppose slightly accidentally, because I didn't come across the degree until about, I think it was in 6th year. I was always quite indecisive about what I wanted to do. I knew what I didn't want to do, but I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. I loved English in school, but I knew it wasn't like something I'd pursue as a career. And I enjoyed business, but I knew I didn't want to do like a traditional business course like commerce. So I actually ended up with a guidance counsellor, and she said to me, I pointed you in 2 directions. She said psychology or business information systems. So I was going straight for the psychology. I said, yeah, this is great, I really like it. The more I looked into it, the more I thought, no, I think it was about 500 points the year I was doing my leaving cert. The workload was insane, and come Christmas, I think, of my leaving cert, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So there was actually a notice up in school that there was an open day for BIS, that you could go in for a couple of hours, get to see what the story was with the course, meet other people, and I think Gay and Joe, I think it was the 2 of you had the open day, which was in G80, I think. And basically I came home from it that day and I decided, yeah, that's it, that's what I want. Changed my CAO course, and that was it from there. I've been in love with it ever since, and I knew from the start it was the right decision for me, which was great. So I suppose, as already alluded to, it's a fantastic course, and I suppose the 2 main things for me that were important was the variety of modules that you get to take. I mean, everything is taught from scratch, so I mean, if you're not a programmer, you know nothing about database, don't panic. I knew absolutely nothing going in. You're doing, say, your accounting, your economics modules, they're at kind of a leaving cert level in 1st year, so it just means that everyone goes on, you know, you're all at the same level, which is good. So yeah, there's so many areas that you go into. I know a few people go into software development, some are going to consulting, analyst roles. You know, there is something for everyone, which is fantastic. And of course, as mentioned by Joe, that the placement opportunity is, I think, without a doubt, the highlight for absolutely everyone. I think it definitely helps to, I suppose, solidify what you think you might want to do afterwards. And I think for me, it definitely helped. So BIS works with like a huge amount of companies. Last year I think we worked with the likes, there was Dell, I think there was all of the big 4, Deloitte, EY, PwC, KPMG, Accenture, AIB, I think there was Airvia, you know, you get the idea. There's a lot of massive companies, and there's a lot of opportunities too. Most people, I think, this year I got offers of a job with, say, the company that they worked with, so that basically they were sorted by the time they left their placement company going into 4th year. They were sorted, which is great. I'm kind of in the middle of sorting it myself. So I suppose my placement opportunity is with Johnson Controls. I think it was actually only the 2nd year running that they ran their IT interns program. So a lot of it was still very, very new, but it was a fantastic program. I loved it. So for anyone who doesn't know, they're actually in Albert Quay over by City Hall. Now I worked from home for the entirety of the placement, which it actually didn't make a difference in the end. I kind of moved teams a little bit. So initially I started with a manager who was in Cork, but she left. So I was with a manager in America and Spain. So even if I'd been in the office, I wouldn't have been with my manager. So I suppose a little bit about Johnson Controls. They're a large American company whose headquarters is actually here in Cork. And they work to manufacture like air conditioning units, heating, ventilation, fire safety. And in recent years, they actually ventured out into the technology side of things. So bringing all these pieces of manufacturing together. So I suppose to give you an example, a lot of this would be used in hospitals to maybe control the temperatures, the air conditioning, you know, especially with COVID, to try and make things as safe as possible. The building actually in 1 Albert Quay is the smartest building in the whole entire country. So I suppose to give an example, one of the very basic ones is that if you swipe your card at the lift, you don't need to press any buttons or anything, it brings you exactly up to where you need to go. If you're inside in the office, it's constantly regulating the temperature depending on, say, how many people are in the office, how many people are in the entire building, temperature outside, things like that. So I kind of did accidentally like 3 little rotations. So first I worked on a project that was it was going to affect 100,000 users across the company. So they were switching from their phone platform, Avaya, to the Microsoft Teams phone platform. So just to integrate better with the Teams platform that they were using anyway. So I was really only collecting data and stuff for that, answering a couple of questions. It wasn't anything too taxing, but it was nothing very interesting either. So I kind of brought this up on my manager, who had a little bit of a side project initially. So it was their Salesforce page in the service catalog. So essentially it is like, if you go into, say, Facebook or any website like that, the help section, it was basically the equivalent of that for Salesforce for anyone using it within the company. So we did a little bit of a redesign for that. I was project manager, which was a little bit intimidating, but it was good. I kind of realised that it's maybe an area that, and not initially I think I'll go into, but down the line I think it's something I'd like. And then lastly, I was in enterprise architecture, which was quite a heavy, tech-heavy domain, but it was probably the most interesting out of all of them. So it was kind of looking at the state of the business and the tech that they're using, and trying to, you know, imagine it for the future and bring in systems and different things like that. So they were trying to work with enterprise resource planning systems. Don't worry, if you do the course, you learn all about them. But essentially, they're like systems that have lots of mini little systems inside them for all aspects of the business. So like accounting, HR, marketing, all that sort of thing. So they had, I think, about 129, and they were trying to, over the next 5 years, bring it down to 2. So I was just working on dashboards for that, tracking dates, tracking, you know, where the applications, what business unit they were aligned to, as well as doing a couple of other odd jobs when they came up. But it was very, very interesting, and all going well, I'm going to go back to the company to work in enterprise architecture when I graduate. So that'd be great, obviously. And I suppose a little bit then, when all fourth-year students come back, they have the dreaded final year project to contend it, which is basically we all come up with an idea for a system and you build it from scratch. It seems really, really intimidating, and I will say I was, and as someone who's not a good programmer, it was daunting. We're coming up to the last stretch. I think we've about a month left in it, but it's actually quite rewarding to see, you know, what you had in day one to what you have now, to see, God, I built this kind of by myself. So it's quite rewarding. So I suppose I'll just give a little overview of mine. Anyone who's been to a wedding before, you know that a lot of the time couples send out a little RSVP card, and just, you know, people just tick whether they're going or they're not going. And I have a cousin who's getting married, and there's 250 guests. So I was saying, right, it's a lot to be keeping track of. So I built a little system that basically the couples can keep track of all that, but as well as that, the guests can log on and they can update their response. So if they need to change it down the line, they can do that, but then the couple can also see every little change as it happens and have the most up-to-date information. It's also going to save people money if they choose to use the platform, because the platform is free versus the cost of all the RSVP cards. So I won't ramble on too much more. So I hope you found that interesting and of some help to you. And if anyone has any questions at the end, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So thank you all very much.